I need to make a confession to you all. Now this isn't easy for me to say, okay? Here goes. Over the recent Christmas holiday, I sat down with my wife and watched all 5 movies in the Twilight Saga. And in so doing, I felt that I really came to understand the nuances of the woman-wolf relationship. And so when I walked into the theater for Wolfman, I knew it was going to be a bumpy ride, but I also knew that, like, you can make it work, right? He'll keep you warm when your vampire boyfriend can't. He'll give you rides on his motorcycle. Just do not let him around any babies. Like, don't even let him look at an infant. Unfortunately, the werewolf in this movie, totally not the same thing. It's like all the knowledge I learned from the Twilight Saga, just out the window. Welcome back, everybody. I'm Jake, the Scary Story Guy, and today we are talking about Wolfman, a new horror film to just hit theaters starring Christopher Abbott and Julia Garner. Now, don't worry, I'm going to tell you what I thought about this movie, and I'm not even close to out of Twilight references yet, so there's plenty to stick around for. But let me just add that if enough of you like this video and subscribe to this channel, I just might tell you whether I'm Team Edward or Team Jacob. And if that's not incentive, I don't know what is. Alright, so Wolfman is the story of a man who takes his wife and kid out into the middle of the woods in Oregon, where he already knows there's a monster, and where his wilderness survival expert dad has already gone missing. As you might expect, doesn't go well. To be precise, as you might have already gathered from the name of this movie, the man starts to turn into a wolf-type creature. Now, I say wolf-type creature instead of just werewolf because it's not exactly clear what this thing is. Like, I'm just gonna be straight up with you, it does not look like a werewolf. What it actually looks like, and this is gonna be a pretty deep cut, is there's this old episode of The X-Files called Home, and it's about these inbred hillbillies who are just fucking disgusting. That's what this thing looks like. And man, I'm realizing this video is not for everyone. I'm hoping there's at least one person out there watching this who's like a huge Twilight fan and a huge X-Files fan, and this video is just like scratching every itch you never knew you had. You're welcome, whoever you are. But you can probably tell from my tone, I wasn't a big fan of this movie. It's not horrible, it does some things well. I might as well tell you what they are. The first 10-15 minutes of this movie is actually quite solid. It's a flashback scene with the main guy and his dad, and you're like, oh shit, is this movie gonna rock? There are also, like, when the actual transformation of this guy into the inbred wolf hillbilly starts happening, there are a couple of effects that it does to show you what it's like to be the wolf. Like, it shows you things from the wolf's perspective, and I thought it was really creative and cool how they did that. I'll also give a shout out to the performances. Christopher Abbott is definitely the one with the most to do here, and he does a good job. And by the way, if you haven't seen his other horror adjacent movies, Possessor and Black Bear, those are absolutely worth a watch. And Julia Garner, it's pretty straightforward what she's doing here. She's the mom who's got to protect her kid from the Wolfman, which she does not do a great job of, by the way. But she's awesome. It's a great performance, despite some truly atrocious dialogue writing. I really like her, man. Like, that role from Ozark brought so much goodwill from me. Like, I will just watch whatever at this point. But unfortunately, that is about where my happy comments on this movie stop. Guys, I wish I were making this up. The baseball scene in the first Twilight movie is unironically cooler and more entertaining than anything that happens here. This is only an hour and a half. It feels longer. Like, there's just not a lot going on here. This is a pretty boring movie. It's also, good lord, you've never seen such a heavy-handed metaphor in your life. This movie does not think you're smart. Like, it honestly just might as well have text at the beginning of the movie just flash on screen, like, the film you are about to see is a representation of generational trauma. There's some incredibly funny dialogue that goes along with this. Like, the dad is just so petrified of scarring his daughter for life somehow that he just says the most insane shit to her. There's literally a scene where they were like just attacked by a wolfman, and he's like, hey, it would kill me if you were scarred for life by what just happened. You aren't scarred, are you? Like, literally, I would feel horrible if you were scarred for life. Please don't be scarred right now. And she's just looking at him like he's a crazy person, because he is. And the mom's not much better. Holy smokes. The protective instincts of this woman are just subterranean. Mild spoilers here, but there's a scene where it's become so obvious that her husband, the main guy, is f***ed up. He's eating his own arm. And this woman is making absolutely no effort to get her daughter away from the scene. Like, her daughter's approaching the husband, clearly unstable at this point. Clearly an unsafe situation for the child. And the mom's like, yeah, go, a front row seat. Also, I've got to say, I was not a big fan of the direction here. Leigh Whannell is at the helm, and he's done some good stuff before. Invisible Man, Upgrade. He was also the screenwriter for Saw, which kind of does come into play in a hilarious way near the end of this movie. But frankly, I've always had a bit of a grudge against him for inserting himself way too too much into the Insidious films. I don't know if you remember these two guys, Tucker and Specs, I think their names were, from the Insidious movies. Anyway, Leigh Whannell is one of those. He cast himself as one of these guys and then chose to make them the incessant comic relief of those movies. And when I tell you, two more annoying characters have never appeared on screen. Anyway, this is unquestionably a big step down from both Invisible Man and Upgrade. There's just no creativity to the direction. Like 90% of this movie just feels very paint by numbers. The pacing is off. It fluctuates from like nothing happening to everything happening to nothing happening at a rate that's just frankly bewildering. It just doesn't end up feeling like a cohesive, and we've touched on this too, the design for the monster is a choice. I mean, I get that we're doing Wolfman lore, so that's why it's called the Wolfman, but it just doesn't look like a Wolfman. I'm sorry. The movie's also just not that scary. Like there's not even a lot of tension in the scenes that are supposed to be tense. Like it's very obvious how everything's gonna shake out. Even the plot twist, there's this plot twist that you see coming from a mile away, and then the movie just lingers over it like it's Bruce Willis at the end of Sixth Sense or something. And then the Julia Garner character has to actively spell out the plot twist for her daughter, like just in case there's one person in the audience who like didn't understand the brilliance of this plot twist. Speaking of the audience, I was there opening day and it was a totally empty theater other than me, so I sort of suspect this movie won't end up doing well. And such is the fate of many January horror movies, some deserved, some not, but I'm sorry to report that Wolfman did in fact deserve the empty seats.
You f***ing bitch, Wolf!
And with that, I am going to give Wolfman 2 stars out of 5, which, if you can believe this, actually puts it below the second and third Twilight movies in my estimation. So take that for the insult it is, I guess. All right, guys, we are 0 for 2 here to start 2025, but stay tuned for more spooky content coming soon. We've got a couple movies coming out that I am excited about. We've got Presence, a new Soderbergh movie that looks interesting, and then there's Companion, starring Jack Quaid and Sophie Thatcher. I thought that one looked cool, so I'm gonna check both those out and let you know what I thought of them. But in the meantime, thank you for watching this video, and here's hoping you survive to see the next one.